And that's why sports are so important, because it's a barometer to help me understand just how hard I have to work for something, just to build that momentum and get the ball rolling. When I tie it back to basketball, I've worked so hard for this, and I didn't have anything that I wanted right away. Having that confidence in the faith, if I follow the instructions, if I follow the manual that's given to me, right? Follow the Bible, that I'm gonna get my goals.
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone, the Audacious Faith Podcast, where we believe and have the audacity that God put us on this earth not just to exist, but to make a huge difference in the world. This is episode 149 of this podcast, and what a great journey it has been so far to be able to just meet and talk with so many awesome people and see how God's been working in their life. And I have an old friend. She's not old, but someone that I've known for a while. And I'm so glad to have her with us on the podcast today. She is a great communicator. She was a great basketball player herself. She's a coach. She's one who motivates and inspires young people especially. And we're going to just talk a little bit about what God's been doing through her life today, and that is Kristen McCarthy. So thank you, Kristen, for being with us.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's very good to see you because it's been a little bit of a while.
It's been quite a while.
So we're going to catch up. And while we catch up, we're going to also catch up with others that may not even know you and haven't met you yet. So maybe give us just a little bit of your background, kind of upbringing. I know faith is also a part of your life. So if you want to kind of touch on that as well, just kind of a little get to know you.
Yeah, definitely. So I know I played basketball since I was 5 years old, so my whole life. So it's a big part of me and who I am, and tied that in with faith, definitely. My whole life, I either went to Christian or small stint Catholic school, my high school years.
Sure.
So, just was definitely just filled with faith, Bible classes and all of those things, which was huge to set that foundation.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just my life has been God and basketball, pretty much.
It's not a bad combination.
Not at all. So yeah, those have been the two biggest things in my life, and those have shaped me, especially being able to play a sport that teaches you so much about yourself or just helps you better yourself. And yeah, and just meet amazing people, other like-minded people. Some not so much, but that's okay. Just different walks of life that you've been able to be just around and learn from. Yeah.
Sure. So tying that in, I mean, when is it that you first knew? You said you played since you were 5. And a lot of people play, when they're kids, they do something. When is it that you knew that this was something more than just a casual thing for you?
That's a good question. Well, starting at the age of 5, my mom had me in a bunch of different sports, and I just really took to basketball. And I would say I remember my mom had reminded me, but I always really loved the sport.
Yeah.
But my brother was doing, extra training like agility and all of that. And I was like, Mom, I want to do that too, know? And then she, she was realizing more and more like, oh, she's really into this. And I was probably like 10. And, but since I was a kid, my mom would take my brother and we had season tickets to the Sparks games. So I probably started going there around 8. So I was able to see from such an early age these women doing the sport that I love to do. So I think that just really just helped me to just continue to grow my love and realize like, oh, I could do something here.
Oh, absolutely. And then you kind of tied in, you spoke a little bit in the beginning already about how, this became really a part of your life and how it relates to life. I think you've kind of touched on that a little bit. A lot of people don't think that way. They don't realize that. We kind of have this mutual love for basketball. I got to coach for many years myself. There's more to it than just bouncing a ball. There's so much more, right? What about like life lessons, disciplines, mental disciplines? Mentality is so huge in it, right? So maybe kind of like give your perspective on that.
Well, I always say, especially now coaching, basketball is the tool that you use to teach life. I learned just how to lose a game and still have good sportsmanship, right? So it's just like, or even with working with my teammates, it's like, well, we're from two totally different backgrounds, but we still have one common goal. And, I would never be like rude or mean or anything to my teammates, but we might not agree. But at the end of the day, when we step on that court, we are teammates and we have one goal. So it really teaches you to be able to work with all different sorts of people and really just respect each other because, again, you're my teammate, so I'm going to have your back regardless.
Right.
What we do off the court, we might not be best friends, but you're my teammate. Like, I got your back. So there's just so many aspects. And then, like you said, the discipline of it all.
Sure.
I mean, I was just in the gym all the time, working on my craft. And I had to make sure, like, especially in high school, that my schedule was really, really on point because you don't really have a lot of time to just, mess around or just waste time. Like,
Right.
you have school, you have practice. Some nights you have games or you're traveling, on the bus for a couple of hours. So you really need to make sure your schedule is set and on point. So even that discipline, like, I'm really used to having things scheduled out that now today, that I work really well that way.
Right.
So kind of less spontaneous in certain aspects. Like, I really like to have a schedule. So there's just so many aspects. Like, the more that I coach it, the more I just realize every day just how much basketball and any sport, I'm sure when any sport but basketball is the specific sport for me, that just how much it ties again into life. Like, I learned how to lose, right? I've lost out at the buzzer. It's just heartbreaking.
That's a killer.
Right.
It really
Right.
is. Yeah.
So even something like that, but it's like, how do you pick yourself up from that or even in the game, all of a sudden you find yourself down 15. Are you going to give up or are you going to keep going? So just sports are just all of those things, so it just has helped me in life today because we know life is not always easy. So it reminds me of that same thing. All right, you're down 15, you're down 20. Like,
Right.
are you going to just fold or what are you going to do?
Right.
So
tying that into a faith thing, because you said it does talk about life. And of course, let's face it, faith-wise, we're not always winning. And even when we're in the process of winning, there's a lot of what seems like losing in that process, right? The growth that comes from how would we ever grow, for instance, if everything always went right? Right? Even different disciplines I'm sure you did as a player. I'm sure you had weight training, you had all those different things. And I mean, you had to push yourself in order for that to be effective. You couldn't just lift a light weight that you already knew how to do, right? Today, more and more, we're seeing where young people, let's talk about that because they've changed. Coping skills, mentality, toughness seems to be just going away, right? More and more. And unfortunately, it's not just kids. Often it's in the adults as well that we're seeing that, where people just aren't able to deal with things. What do you think were some of the factors? You mentioned your mom being very supportive and everything. What were some of the factors that maybe made you different?
Well, I don't know. I think God just put something naturally in me. For one, was just that I just enjoyed basketball so much.
Yeah.
And no matter what I was doing with it, I could have been running sprints. Like, yeah, at the moment, those sucked. Absolutely.
Sure, of course.
But I still enjoyed it. Like, after I would finish, I'd be like, wow, I was super tired, but I made it through. And like, now I feel amazing.
It's accomplishment.
Right. I think I just was able to embrace the grind to know, like, okay, it's not always going to be great and feel great, but I get to play in the basketball game, tomorrow or a week down the line. I'm getting rebounds and steals because I'm putting in all this work. So I think seeing those results is what, kept me going. And then also just having great teammates around me, great people who enjoyed the same things that I did. So even in high school, like, you're working out, but you're around people that you love and care about, and they're silly, and you still have a good time.
You see them 5-6 days a week.
Right. They're literally your family. You see them more than, your blood relatives.
Right.
So I think, I don't know, I think I just really embraced that because it was something that I loved so much. So,
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't have kids, but parents do things they don't necessarily want to do all the time for their kids. They're taking them here and there
Sure.
because for that love. So it was really a for the love of the game type of thing that I just was committed.
Nice. Now let's talk about coaching, because you've been on both sides of it. You've been coached, and then you've had to turn around and coach, which you've done a lot of as well. And there's obviously that aspect to it. And I think there's a spiritual aspect to it in the sense, too, of parallel. Because a lot of times we don't necessarily like or agree with the instructions. True? I mean,
Very true.
And obviously from a human coaching perspective, maybe the instructions weren't always the best instructions, but they're still the instructions. Okay. And you mentioned teammates. So let's talk about that for a second in the plan of things. Let's go just from a human perspective right now. You've got a coach who gives a game plan. And some of you think there would be a better game plan, or even maybe 3 or 4 of the players on the court at the moment agree with the game plan, but someone else has their own idea. What happens when the person doesn't follow the plan?
You lose essentially because everyone's on a different page. So sometimes, again, you have to think about it as we have to be on the same page as a team. So it's like, okay, 3 players agree, but 2 don't. But what is the team doing? Are you going to do your own thing?
Right.
Or are you going to still go along with the team? You might not agree, but you have to be able to come together to at least try this plan, because then if it doesn't work, hopefully the coach would make that necessary adjustment.
Right.
But you don't even know if you don't try it. So I actually feel like even with building trust from a coach to a player, it really starts with just like communicating with them as an individual, right? Instead of like you never met this person or they just came to tryouts and you roll out the balls and you're like, on the line, or whatever. And you're like, who is this person? So I think a lot of times it goes a long way just taking the time to get to know the individual, to know the kid, know something about them.
Sure.
Because they're still humans. And when you learn something about the kid, you can better coach them, because you might know that maybe they were bullied. And if you coach them a certain way, they're going to go into their shell because it reminds them of their bullying or something. I don't know. But these are just different examples that if you actually take the time to know the kid, it really can go a long way. And it allows the kid to know the coach a little bit more and build that trust.
Sure.
So
that relationship is important, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever have where you really thought the coach was wrong? You didn't agree with the instruction, and then when everyone did it anyways, you realized later, oh, wait a minute, that actually worked.
Yes, for sure. That's definitely happened. And I think, again, that's the biggest thing, that even if you kind of don't agree with it, you just have to see it play out. But I think it also is a good thing when you have an open line of communication with your coach, that even if you like you want to do it, buy in, and then if it doesn't work, you have that line of communication. You're like, hey, coach, this is what I'm seeing out here on the floor. I know you said this, but actually, number 2, she can't really guard me, or she's really slow. So, so I can attack her, or let's run this play, or let's run that play. So I think that's where that comfort level comes in with the player to coach and coach to player.
Right.
That, even if you do buy in, or even if you don't agree and you end up doing it anyway and it works, okay, great, we're going to do it again because it worked. But if it doesn't, you want to be able to say like, hey, coach, this is what I think.
So you had different coaches, obviously. Were some of them more open to that than others? I mean, you don't have to name any names, but
well, that's interesting. That's a good question. So initially, especially in my younger years, all the way through high school, you wouldn't have heard me say that.
okay.
And I don't think that is really a knock on the coach as much as also like I was more so lead by example, not really by words or anything.
Okay.
So I didn't really say as much. I was more so just like worked really hard, and you could see everything on the floor in practice. But I wasn't really super vocal. Like maybe talking on defense, but as far as, telling my coach something, I just was like, all right, what do you need? Okay, I'm playing the 4 today. I'm playing the 2. Okay. I wasn't really a challenge my
Wasn't
coach
that
back
type
then.
of,
Yeah.
okay.
And I will say, we did great things in high school, so I was fine with whatever was
I
being
think,
said.
what years did you play in high school?
I 04 to 08.
Yeah, I think you guys were dominating pretty well during that
Some
time.
state championships, some CIFs. So.
Yeah, so I guess there wasn't a whole lot to
Right.
say about it.
I wasn't mad at what was going on. So
Right. Okay, well, let's talk about that because you touched on it. State championships, that's something very few people get to be able to say. So was there a certain type of discipline that just was really necessary? Because obviously when you start getting higher levels, I mean, the competition, even though you had a very good team, the competition is steep. And, one let up, one not following the game plan, one just bad game could end it. Okay, so what did it take? And you had multiple state championships, right?
Yes.
What did it take to be able to maintain that level consistently?
I think showing up to practice and working just as hard, if not harder, in practice than the game.
Okay.
So like feeling so prepared that you were just ready for the game mentally. So it was one of those things where you're not taking plays off or moments off even in practice. So when you were able to go into the game, like I just felt ready. And my coach did an excellent job preparing us as well, especially defensively. We were really, really great defensively. I think that's what made it very
big.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely big.
huge. And just that mindset for everyone to buy in. So we just really just working hard, especially in practice. And it's so interesting, where I am now and then looking back because you're just in it. So you're just like, all right, I have practice today. Okay, I'm working hard for 2 hours. That's it.
Right.
But that literally is what it was. There's no magic potion or something. It was just the daily work and practice that myself and all of my teammates did.
Yeah.
And we really pushed each other.
Okay.
So I probably, at any particular time from freshman to senior year, I was playing with at least 3 D1 athletes, which is really, really good for college.
Sure.
I mean, for high school.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I'm getting pushed in practice every day, and I'm just learning so much. Our coach is demanding a lot out of us. So I think that just, again, prepared us for the game. Like, we got to the game, we had the scouting report, we knew what we were doing, and we were in the best shape. So we're ready to go.
It's a lot of different combinations right there. How did you avoid, because, they say even in professional level sports, it's very hard to repeat, and especially 2, 3 times. Very difficult to do that because not only do other teams get a drive to come after you and make adjustments, but there's that tendency to get complacent, to let up a little bit, to just kind of get overconfident maybe. So how did you guys avoid that?
Well, I would say first, like, because we had won even the year before I came, just kind of a historic program. And there was a standard there.
That's the word I knew we were going to. That's good.
So I definitely, before I even got there, it's like, if you want to play on this team, you're going to be here or else you won't play on this team.
Okay.
So even before you even sign up for the program, it's like, this is what it is and you know what you're going into. So you want to be a part of that, like, greatness. So you make sure you work hard for that every day. So even me coming in, like, my freshman year was great. A lot of winning, undefeated. And just coming in, I knew, like, I have to raise my level. Conditioning came in September, October. I'm working my behind off because I'm a freshman. I'm trying to make sure I have playing time.
Sure.
And I know, again, the standard that was set was winning. So anything less, I'm like, I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of the winning. I want this. So that winning tradition is huge. And then once you get into it, you are able to understand what you have to do to get there and maintain that. And then after, it really just becomes contagious. Everyone's working hard.
Okay.
Coach is super prepared.
Yeah.
And it just really rubs off on everybody from, 1 through 12.
Well, let's tie this into life then, because I'm thinking of the biblical verse that says, don't be deceived. Evil company corrupts good judgment or good morals. People see this. You're talking about a standard. Well, that standard obviously was set even by everyone that you were around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you went into a program where, hopefully we can win 12 to 15 games and get in the playoffs, that would be the standard.
Right.
Obviously, that would have been a horrible year where you were going.
Mm-hmm.
And your teammates and everyone that was on that team knew it. So even in life, when it talks about whatever somebody's trying to do, whether it's basketball, whether it's anything else, how important is it the associations that are around you?
Oh, that's so key, because you can have one bad apple and they could bring you down. So, I've played on teams where that bad apple did exist and it was a problem. So and that's important even for kids now and adults, right? Sometimes you just hang out with one wrong person and they start to take you down, right?
Right.
So even sometimes, this is when we could use social media and everything to our advantage. Sometimes your bestie or the person who's influencing you has to come from YouTube, because maybe the people around you are just not steering you in the right direction. So, you definitely want to be around, just people who are, faith driven and headed in the right direction, who, have a heart of God and are really focused on doing good things, because, how can you do good or even great things when someone's bringing you down or you're heading in the wrong direction? So, even college, right? I've never been like a partier. That's just not my style. Even for those that do, that's their college thing, whatever. But for me, I always wanted to, again, have this greatness and like be great at basketball. So I knew the focus that it took. And there were some teammates that, they had different goals or just were, going left. And my first, I don't remember exactly, maybe 3 or 4 games in college, I didn't start. And I started every game after my entire college career.
Okay.
Because I worked hard and there were times where I was just by myself. Sometimes there was like 1 or 2 teammates. We were all in the gym and doing positive things.
Right.
But I knew the direction that I wanted to go. And I was like, let me find those specific people around me to latch on to them. And if that means that I have to be by myself for a little bit, then that's what I have to do. But just still understanding that like I have a goal and that's where I'm going to reach that goal. And I think when I think back, it was actually really great, like going to a Christian school or even a Catholic school. But I'll even say, because my younger years, I was in a Christian school. So even to be around like those like-minded people and know what that looks like to be around good people, to be able to spot the ones where I'm like, I don't think you're headed in the right direction. That's not for me. Just even to know, to be able to decipher who I should be around and who I shouldn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm sure you've seen people go the other way, where the influences, and you even mentioned social media and how it could be good. If we don't have the right mentors around us, we can find them, right? But of course, so many seem to choose less than the best for them. The mentality shift, how are you seeing it today as you're working with young people that are coming up? How are you seeing the effect of this mentality shift, this inability? Let's tie this into, I know that when you were working on your game, for instance, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Okay.
I can go left, though.
You can go left, but you probably couldn't at first.
Nope, not at
Right?
all.
So a lot of people, it depends on the attitude that they take. Some say, well, I'm right-handed, I can't dribble with my left. And then that's what they tell themselves. That story, I can't dribble with my left. I can't shoot with my left. I can't go up with my left. And then even the other teammates, the other team or the other coach may say they have no left.
Right.
And
send them left.
And they accept that instead of proving it wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. it took a decision on your part to do the hard things, right? It wasn't easy to go left at first, so you had to push through it until you could. And then you wanted to hear them yell, oh, she's got no left, force her left, and then you just go right around them. Why are so many not willing to do the hard things? It's almost as if anything is hard now, no, I don't want to do it.
That's funny. Just when you were asking me this question, it just took me back to your previous question where sometimes the hard thing is doing the right thing.
Oh, that's a great point.
And, doing it God's way. Sometimes that's the hard thing. So to me, it's kind of like the same thing. Social media brain sometimes, or like we want quick results, or we've been told that we can have quick results, like weight loss pills or whatever, you name it. And people believe that. So if they don't get something right away, then they want to give up. But I also think, because again, with me coaching and training kids as well, I really encourage them, like when we're practicing, I'm like, nope, we're only using our left hand today. All right, if you don't use your left hand on this layup, you're going to run. Okay? And I will tell them, I'm like, I'm not mad if you missed the shot.
Right.
All I'm asking you to do is to use your left hand. So I think sometimes even that encouragement, that's why it's important to encourage kids and not, I don't think, punish for everything. Like there's levels. You have to understand who you're working with. Right? Now when you get to the point where you know your left, right, now the standard is changing.
Right.
Because now you know how to use your left. And I think just getting past that point, a lot of times we need to be pushed, especially when we're younger, to understand that you could do something, and then you start to become proud of yourself. And you start to smile like, wow, look what I did. And then that's how you make the connection to understand, oh, when I do this, these are the results that I could have. So sometimes a lot of these kids aren't even in it long enough to see the results that they can have. So they just think, oh, it doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have a resistance, though, when you've been coaching. Have you found that it's harder for some of them to do the hard thing? I mean, let's use an example here. You said left-handed day. I mean, I would think that would be a day that if you have one left-hander on your team, they're thinking, finally, right?
Yes.
What about this understanding? I mean, do the right-handers understand that, for the left-hander, every day was like that day for them that they're having right there?
I've explained that before. That's so funny. That's so true. And I've explained that before. And sometimes I'll tell the lefty, I'm like, hey, you're going to be great at your right hand, getting them to understand. And really explaining it to the kids, when you only have one hand, you literally cut the floor in half.
Yeah, right.
You are playing basketball where you could play it with the full court, you're playing it with half, and now the game becomes that much harder because you only have one hand, and then you're afraid to use the other one.
Right.
So sometimes I try different techniques to get that point across, but I think the encouragement is huge, or trying different techniques to say, okay, again, if you don't use your left, this is what happens, or if you do, you get a point, or like different things where they're kind of competing. Now you have to do that, right? A game within a game. You have to try to make everything,
Exactly. Well, let's tie this in, because this is what I noticed in the last few years. Maybe it's because of the poor attention span. We did mention social media. Everyone scrolls now. They don't even stay on a video for 8 seconds sometimes now. And that's kind of crazy. And I've seen it really affect. I've taught and coached students that somehow they have like a 4.0 GPA, and yet they can't follow a simple instruction on a court. And I haven't been able to figure that one out. There's a difference. I know the word tells us, for instance, don't just be a hearer, but actually a doer. And why is it, maybe you haven't had teams like this, but I have, where you tell them, okay, the average person only has a right hand. The average person that you're playing, at least at the level we were playing, only has a right hand. So shade them to their right and force them to their left. And if I were to ask them, what are we supposed to do on defense? They'd give me that answer. And yet they don't do it. Over and over again, they don't do it. It's like they're right there. I'm standing right there saying, do it. And they don't do it. if you're finding this disconnect, and people do this in life too, we have God's instructions. It's clear as day. We hear it. I've had people as a pastor that have sat in church for 35 years and still in any issue of life where I tell them, well, what is it? And they can't even tell me. Or they know, but they don't do it. It makes no sense to me. So what do you think?
Sometimes I actually think it's the fear of the outcome if you do listen.
Oh, that's big. Okay.
So I know it might sound kind of weird, but I related to being at the gym and playing against men, right?
Okay.
So I'm telling you, this happened to me all the time. So let's say I'm playing against. Usually, I was always, go to the gym to hoop, and I'm the only woman, okay, or girl at the time, but and I'm doing my thing. I score a couple buckets, and then here comes the guy. I wasn't even guarding you. Oh, okay. So guard me now. So then what happened? So what happens if I score on you and you're really guarding me? So sometimes I think, again, if they actually listen and they're trying hard, and let's say they get scored on or it doesn't work out, that letdown and that like disappointment to not be able to feel like they failed at something, like the fear of that failure in that way.
So if I don't go all in, then I have an excuse and I have a reason.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So there's just not that confidence.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of times if God is telling us to do something again and you're like, well, I'm not going to listen to, to what he's telling me. So then you have that barrier or that excuse like, oh, it didn't work out.
So do you think that people are comfortable in their discomfort?
Yes. And more comfortable. I think they're comfortably comfortable. I don't even think it's as much discomfort because they get so used to it. It's like a habit, right? You just keep doing it.
Okay.
So the more uncomfortable part would be to listen to what the coach said, follow through in the instructions, and maybe not get the desired result and have to sit with that, with that feeling or that letdown, or maybe you got to sit with that, with the result or what the coach says to you, or maybe you get taken out of the game or whatever, right?
And do you think in some cases, even though the success would be great, people would rather not have it than work for it?
For sure. You see these little like memes or things where there's the guy knocking at the concrete,
Right.
and then he's about to give up, but he's like this close.
Right.
So, again, that's why sports are so important, because at least for me, it's a barometer to help me understand just how hard I have to work for something.
Okay.
Right? So just to build that momentum and get the ball rolling, no pun intended, but just to get the ball rolling, to have just, a lot of great things happening.
Right.
So when I tie it back to just basketball, I'm like, I've worked so hard for this, and I didn't have anything that I wanted right away. Right? But I stayed faithful, and I was trusting God and believing for these goals that I have, even like a college scholarship, right? Playing overseas.
Okay.
All of those things, right? Even right now, like, I've been lifting. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a little thin. I'm thinner than usual.
I'm a little intimidated right now.
But
I'm just kidding.
But like, I've had this goal for a while, and I honestly wasn't as consistent as I needed to be. But now, like, I've been consistent, and I'm like, the goal, I'm starting to see my goal. So now I'm like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So, just having that confidence in the faith that if I follow the instructions, if I follow the manual that's given to me, right? Follow the Bible, that I'm going to get my goals and get to what I want to. And know that it's not always, like, I think when things get hard, that you kind of touched on that earlier, like in life.
Yeah.
Or it's just so much easier to just succumb to the pressure.
It takes
and
so
the
much
difficulty.
effort to get there. It's like not only necessarily that they believe they can't, but it's like, do I really want to put in the effort to do it? And the thought, here's what I meant by comfortable and discomfort. there's a lot of people that say, oh no, I really wish my life was this. I really wish I could do this. And then they're shown the path, and it's almost as if they know that if they did it, life, I think I want that, but life would change. And I'm just used to my life this way.
Mm-hmm.
It would require my daily activities to be different. It would require my disciplines to be different.
Mm-hmm.
You're lifting. Why? Because it doesn't show up in one day,
Right.
but it's a process of, each week it gets more and more, and you get stronger and stronger, and muscles have to break down in order to build up, and all these different things that have to happen. Too many just don't want to, they won't do it. I think, Kristen, one of the qualities that you have, that you seemingly have had for most of your life, is that self-drive, that I want to see a certain result. Unfortunately, that's becoming more and more rare in people. I'm thinking of this verse, God kind of summed it up. Jesus summed it up when he said, the greatest commandments are to love God with all your heart, and then love your neighbor as yourself. A lot of people they have trouble even with that second part.
A lot of us don't even know our neighbors.
Yeah, or caring about what I'm saying here. What I'm thinking of when you're telling me this is you have a quality where you will push to accomplish a goal. For some people, unfortunately, that's not enough. Okay, you mentioned teammates. Have you seen sometimes where, for some people, they may not do it for themselves, but they'll do it for others. So maybe it's family. Maybe it's, some person in their life that I need to accomplish this. Some people maybe wanted to, be successful so they could retire their parents or make things easier on their parents, or they could help out, or they could do whatever. Or, in the case of teammates, that's what basketball is like. I may not feel like pushing hard today, but if I'm not ready, then I'm going to let my teammates down, who are all pushing for this when we get in this game. I need to be paying attention. I need to actually run the play, because I don't have the luxury of just doing what I want.
Exactly.
Does it take sometimes an external thing that you have to care about more than even doing it for yourself?
Absolutely. And I have the perfect example of this.
Okay.
So when I was in college, I kind of mentioned in high school and even before that, I just led by example. Like, I just worked hard and that was it. I didn't really say a whole lot.
Right.
When I got to college, more was required of me, more was expected of me, just like being captain of the team and different things like that. So now just leading by example isn't enough. Now I had to be more vocal, which for me was super uncomfortable. I'm just kind of always just even keel, not wanting to like ruffle feathers and things like that. So sometimes, some people have had those teammates that don't care. They'll say whatever. And that's not always bad. Like, sometimes you need to be told what it is.
Yeah.
But the only way I was able to reason with myself to say things that might have been a little uncomfortable or just really lead vocally was because I knew it was for my team.
Okay.
Like, I was like, if I say this, it helps my team. It's not me. Like, that was the only way that I was able to get my point across and just vocally lead and tell my teammates, certain things that needed to be done, or speak up to my coaches about things or whatever. That was the only way. So absolutely, sometimes you have to just trick yourself or understand that, okay, if I get out of my comfort zone, it helps the team. And now, and that's sometimes, maybe it's a parent, who, I see this a lot. Their kid just doesn't feel like going to practice and the parent's okay with it. So, maybe it's the parent needs to convince themselves, this is for my kid's future. This is more than just the now, right? There's sometimes you just have to trick your mind to make sure that, you see the bigger picture.
And even tying that in, does the parent then have the choice of saying, okay, maybe you don't feel like going to practice, but your teammates are going to be there. You need to be there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're letting your team down.
Right.
You won't go to the play. You won't know what they worked on today. You'll be behind every little part of it. You're not going to be ready. You're going to fail possibly in the game because you did not do what was in practice
Mm-hmm.
today. Because it's like this not only in basketball, but in life. So much of it is already rehearsed in our mind and taught in our mind before we get to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
When we get there and try to react, it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Often we'll have the wrong reaction. How much was visualization, for instance, in sports? I mean, even how many times have you played at higher levels than what I've often coached, but it's literally, I'll see someone get up to the free throw line and it's like, they don't have a snowball's chance of this ball going. They don't have any thought. They're just throwing the ball at the basket. They don't even visualize it going in. They don't picture themselves with the routine that they have, the way the ball's going to be released from their hand, any of this type of thing. And so, yeah, I mean, you throw anything in a certain direction and every once in a while it's going to go in. But how important is all that before the game situation, running those scenarios, and how it relates to life as well?
Oh, I love that question. You have to see it. Seeing helps you believe it. So sometimes if you physically don't see it, you have to imagine it in your mind. I think younger kids do a really good job, You can't tell a kid he's not a bird, right? He's a bird. They're, a dog or anything.
Guide them. I mean, don't let them jump off a roof
Right.
for convinced, right? But
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. But they imagine very well. So
Mm-hmm.
even professionally is when I got a little bit more into meditating.
Mm-hmm.
And before the game, before I would head over to the gym, I would just close my eyes and visualize how I wanted to play the game.
Right.
And it helped me tremendously, because a lot of times your body and brain don't know the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, helping you heal your ankle, just see it healing, see it happening, right?
Okay.
Helping, just with whatever. So I feel like that took me a long way, and it actually it helped me to be more calm going into the game, because I saw myself doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helped, of course, just practicing that I did those things, like actually did those things
Sure.
over and over again. So, seeing is believing a lot of times. So that's even when we go back to those layups, you're missing them at first, but then you start seeing them go in, and you keep believing that you could continue to do that. So that's huge. Just like the meditation or just visualizing, like it might be seeing what God has planned for your life. So you've written those things down. They talk about the vision boards and different things like that. Like you see those things written, you get to see them every day, and you have to imagine yourself doing those things so that you can do it. Imagine yourself playing in college, put that jersey on, and
right.
all of those things. It's really important, because to me that helps to like mimic that feeling too. Once you have that feeling, then it just makes it even more exciting to continue to go after it.
Yeah. So tying into the verse I'm thinking of is in Hebrews 11:1. I think faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things still not seen. But we do see it. We catch a glimpse of it, right?
Mhm.
Even though it's not physically in front of us at this particular moment, the faith to kind of see it, God puts that in our head and go, okay, I may not be there today, but that's where I'm going.
Mhm.
And then the steps that are in between, which I think you've touched on some of those things. Let's talk about, this is going to be a shameless plug, but I have a book out right now called How to Get What You Want. And part of it is the map on how to get there. Okay.
Nice.
And so in the map, the first one is mentors. So who are some key mentors in your life?
That's a good question. Well,
And you mentioned that you can even find them if you don't have them.
Exactly. So when you asked that, the first thing that just popped into my head was just basketball.
Mhm.
So being a huge fan of the game, I really loved Lisa Leslie, another player by the name of Delisha Milton.
Okay.
And
You were definitely a Sparks fan. Yeah.
But my all-time favorite player was Tamika Catchings.
Okay.
She played for the Indiana Fever.
Mhm.
So those were like my basketball mentors.
Mhm.
And then I think just the smaller mentors, like your day-to-day mentors, a teacher by the name of Miss Mack. She was just really cool. She made you feel super welcome.
Mhm.
And like instilled confidence, or she was and still is just super positive, right? So I think when you're young, those knowing that someone really believes in you, like that goes,
Huge.
goes a super long way.
Yeah.
So mentors like that, and then just seeing like just the day to day, like my mom worked hard, right? So in whatever it is she was doing, going to work, raising me, that was a sort of mentorship as well because you know I saw her working hard. I'm like, you know, all I have to do is go to practice. All right, that's easy.
So you're mentioning here, which is a great point, that there are different types of mentors at different times in different areas of our life, right? And we seem to get them at the right time. They all have that part of it.
Exactly.
Value.
Sometimes there's like different things and aspects and that you can draw from different people, right? So sometimes you might have one coach that or parent. It's more so happens with parents all the time. Like, I've been telling my kid this the whole time, but you come along and say it. Like, sometimes it just depends on the person and how someone takes it.
Right.
So, yeah, I was able to just have a ton of mentors, just basketball wise, and seeing it already done. And I don't know if I would use the word like mentor per se, but my high school coach, I learned a lot from him. Especially,
Well, yeah, I mean, we learn in all kinds of different ways.
yeah.
Some of it you may be, okay, I learned I don't want to do that. And then there's other parts of it where you're saying, okay, I do want to do it that way. I mean, there's obviously value in every direction of it and sometimes multifaceted.
But even in the positive aspect for him though, like I just remember I was so prepared when I got to college. Like I understood a lot more than my teammates
Sure.
because of how I was coached in high school.
So
Like,
you realized more of it then at that point going, man, I really didn't necessarily always appreciate this, but now I see why.
yes, for sure. Especially like defensively and principles and certain things. And like, I was so prepared. Just like, again, better than my opinion than my teammates because of how I was prepared in high school. And then even like travel ball being prepared on just being pushed.
Yeah. And now you get to, as a mentor, the great thing about being mentored is you get to mentor. You get to turn around and then pass those things on, right? Let's talk about the next one. What about accountability? How big was accountability for you? And what were some of those, even accountability now maybe? Is there still accountability?
You know, one of the biggest points of accountability is watching yourself on film. Oh my goodness. There were sometimes you're in the game, you're like, I didn't do that. And then you're watching film and you're like, oh man. So of course your coaches hold you accountable, but to be able to see it on, on film, accountability.
Sure.
When you have accountability, there's endless room for growth. And like that's actually how you get better and understanding like it's okay if you were wrong or it's okay if it didn't turn out how you wanted it to, but you have to be able to look yourself in the mirror to make those corrections. So even how that shows up today is like, there's sometimes where if I'm coaching or like training and I'm like, how can I do better to get more out of the kid? I'm like, is there something I'm doing wrong? Right? To really look at yourself to see how you could be better. And I think that just helps you grow and that helps everyone around you. Like the better I could be, the better I could be for everybody else.
Right.
And the better they will be because of it.
Yeah, what you're mentioning there, I think I mentioned to you before we started the podcast about how for 1 year I went in coach as an assistant in the community college. And the coach, way better coach than me as far as X's and O's and understanding of the game and all those type of things. And I was just like totally out of my league, quite honestly. But it's crazy because I'll go back there now. This is what I admire about her. I'll go back there now and I'll be like the public address announcer at a lot of their games. And she'll come to me over at halftime quite often or before the second half starts and she'll go, so what are you seeing? And I'm thinking, you're asking me? You see much more than I do. But, it could be something like, well, I think you should speed up the game. I think you should pressure this. I think there's this, and then sometimes she'll do it. And I'm thinking to myself, I wouldn't think you would ask me. But the fact that the person is still willing to let someone else see something from an outside view, it speaks a lot to me.
Yeah, for sure. And that shows how much, trust she has in you to even be able to ask you and value your opinion as well. So,
Yeah, it's kind of surprised me, honestly. And then the last one in this map would be purpose. I like to say prayerful purpose because we tie this spiritual point into it. But um, I mean, obviously, when you went to play in high school, when you're playing in college, I mean, it wasn't just, oh, yeah, we're just here because we like to play a game. Whatever happens, happens. There was a purpose behind it, and it was victory. It was winning. It was championships and all those type of things. And I think in this society today where everyone gets a trophy and where everything is just like, oh, it doesn't really matter. It's just not whether you win or lose. It's just how you play. Well, it is whether you win or lose if you could have won.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, it's like, when did we just be like, whatever,
Right.
So how big and important is it to have some purpose, some goal, something you're actually shooting towards? Because even if you fall short, you'll at least be closer than you would have been, right?
Exactly. And then you learned and how to get better.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. I feel like that's one of the reasons why so many people are lost.
Yeah.
They don't feel like they have a purpose in life, right? They've lost their way. They're not connected with God.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether it's engaging in unhealthy activities and not really being able to focus on who they are and who they could be.
Right.
Purpose gives you meaning, like to be here on this earth.
Right.
So even at a smaller sense, like with basketball, maybe you're working towards a goal to get a college scholarship, so you're working really hard and to attain that specific goal. Then once you, maybe speaking for me, maybe once you finish, you're done with college, and now you're like, well, what's next? Okay, maybe you play pro. Well, it's like, well, what's next? Now what's my purpose, right?
Right.
So I think part of that is just discovering the things that you enjoy and how you can help others with what you enjoy. So I think being in community, like coaching and training, where you're helping others and you're helping them to become better human beings for like the rest of your life, there's so much purpose in that. And I think when you have purpose, that gets you excited about each day and, excited and motivated to do whatever job it is that you're doing, but to do it well. So I think that's what's been lost, is a lot of purpose, or people are just on their phones, sometimes just, not really communicating or not understanding their purpose. So there's no drive for every day.
Sure. So this has been a great conversation. We're going to start tailoring it towards the end, but let me ask you this. Being what you just said right now, so what are the big things? You've already done a lot of things, but what are some of the biggest purposes, drives, things that you see God leading you to now in this stage of life for you?
That's a good question. So one of the things that I'm very much into besides basketball, again, that's the tool for different vehicles, is health and wellness.
Okay.
Just seeing a lot of people, I could speak specifically for family members of mine who are no longer here because of health and wellness decisions that they decided not to make, early on, and then it just snowballs. So, helping to learn in that aspect about, like, nutrition, exercise, and different things like that. I'm really passionate about that because I think there's so much power in, like, taking good care of yourself, because you get to feel good while you're doing things.
And then you're more productive.
Yeah, exactly. When you're just, like, trying to get by because you're not healthy, that's the main thing that's just on your mind, right? So you could show up better for yourself and everyone else just by being healthier. So, I would love to get into, some sort of certification or something like that with learning health. And then continue, I enjoy coaching, but I do want to make room for that. And then also, I majored in broadcasting communication, so starting my own podcast.
That's right. It's coming up.
What
Give us, you told me the name and I love it. Go ahead.
It's called The Flight Beyond the Game. So we just filmed our first episode. It hasn't been edited or anything, so I'm just getting my feet wet. You're 149 episodes in. You're the pro in the
I
game.
have a good producer, so otherwise I wouldn't be able to do anything here.
So talk about a mentor or influence. You're like, I need to watch back these episodes to learn from you. So
I will tell you that your communication, the ability that God's given you, you're going to be absolutely awesome at what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
I can totally tell.
Thank you.
And, you touched on something. There's a statement. I'm just not going to let it go because it was so good. You talked about health decisions. And usually when people say something like that, they say decisions that a person made. But you said a key statement, decisions that they chose not to make.
Mm-hmm.
How many that's a life hack right there. How many things in life do not get accomplished or turn out other than they should because of decisions that people choose not to make? That's big.
That happens all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
You decide not to listen to your coach, or you decide not to get up and go to the gym.
Right.
You decide, not to go to work, or I don't know. There's just all those things have consequences, but a lot of times that daily decision turns into this long-term
Compounding
effect. Exactly. Right. So, a friend of mine, he always says the 2% way, just 2% better every day. Right. So sometimes, and I had to remind myself of this too, like you want to get to this goal right away, or it seems so far away, but it's like you just got to take the first step. And then it starts to, you build the momentum.
It's up there, right?
Yeah.
But there's all these steps in between. You can't just be up there. You gotta take it. Yeah.
You build that momentum for yourself. So So
well, we're going to do this. I'm going to let you look right to the camera. I'm going to ask you an open-ended question.
All right.
Okay. The person out there, they're still searching for that purpose. You just touched on, for instance, find something that you actually enjoy, because I think God puts that in us, right? Maybe they're still searching even for the peace that you have in life. That's why you have this purpose. That's why you know where you're going, and they're not finding it. Okay. So just however God would lead you, what would you want to tell them as we kind of end up on this one?
I would say definitely go to God, but first, even within that, like, God is right where you are. So get still and get quiet, breathe, and just talk to him. Talk to him and then listen. Breathe and listen. Close your eyes and just listen to the Spirit. He will speak to you for sure. But just like when you're working hard, in your sport and you're trying to get to where you want to, that takes work too. Being able to be still and hear. So we have so many distractions now. So sometimes it could be harder to hear, but you have to get quiet, get still, and you will hear him.
I love it. I love it. Definitely take that to heart. Here's my question to you. There's people that are watching this maybe right away, or they may catch it later on at some particular point. If they want to reach out to you because they were definitely inspired by something you said today, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My social media my name is Kristen McCarthy, and my social media is Kristen McCarthy 5. So KRIS10.
Okay.
McCarthy 5. So
that's like Instagram you're talking about, right?
My Instagram. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
My
bad. I said social media, which there's a ton of it. So, but yes, so that would be the best way. You're more than welcome to reach out, say hello, or ask a question or anything. I like to respond to people, so not a stranger.
Great. So I encourage you to do that. We appreciate you being with us today, and we're going to look for some great things happening in the future as well.
Absolutely.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you share it. Reach out to Kristen. She will get back to you. And also subscribe to the channel, whatever you're watching on right now, and make sure that you catch some of the other episodes that we've either already had or will be coming out. Remember, God doesn't waste anything in your life. So all those experiences that you've had so far are building you into the person you are today and where he wants to take you. So until next time, this has been the Audacious Faith Podcast. God bless you, and we'll see you then.